Hi, I'm Rachael, and if you're listening, you probably already knew that. You also know that this podcast usually focuses on one of the 24 books suggested to me for the year 2019. Welcome to this extra and special episode of Title Pending. I missed one in May, so this is how I'm making it up to you. On the 30th, I'll be dropping another episode. I'm not sure exactly what I'll be reading yet, so it'll be a surprise to everyone. This week, I want to share some book suggestions. As in, books suggested by me instead of reviewing books suggested to me. And the theme, of course, is gay. June is LGBT plus Pride Month. If you follow me on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, real life, you've heard me talk about Pride. Every year people ask me, a known queer, why it's necessary to designate a month. Here's the deal. Nothing is necessary, but it's important to have a month to promote dignity, diversity, community, and affirm that community annually. The government probably would have given us a shorter month, but February had already been designated to commemorate Black history. And while we don't need the government's okay or blessing to celebrate, it's important to be recognized and validated. As well you may know, I am not straight. I'm a combination of asexual, biromantic, or panromantic, and agender. I'm a strong believer that a person's life involves constantly learning about oneself. Agender is a title I adopted about 2 years ago and really only started using after I got my job. It would take an entirely different podcast to get into that. Suffice to say that, for now, that's what works best for me. And instead of thinking of myself in terms of she or her, the pronouns they, them, and theirs works better for me. Oh, Rachel. They work at a bookstore. Although I discovered that part of myself fairly recently, I've known I was asexual since high school. I feel that even though asexuality is, in simple terms, a lack or absence of sexual attraction, it's important to be open about it and share that aspect of myself. One day my talking about it might cause somebody else to realize that they aren't alone. And really, what greater goal in this incredibly turbulent world than to reach out a hand for someone who might need it? This is the first time since 2015 that I'll be attending the Chicago Pride Parade. And if you're queer, the reason may be obvious. 3 years ago, the biggest massacre on American soil in the 2000s occurred in an Orlando gay nightclub, leaving 49 dead and 53 wounded. The next day, my mother begged me not to go, well, anywhere, but especially any spaces designated for queer people. To be afraid to exist in spaces made for you and your people is painful. A lot of people attend the parade looking for a party, and I'm not judging that, but it's not why I'm attending. I'm going because I want to be surrounded by love, and to show that love for my community, because I don't want to hide. Because safety is never guaranteed in this world anyway, and if I go down, I'd rather be holding a rainbow flag than a white one. Alright, thank you for traveling with me down that dark road. Let's lighten it up a little bit. Here are some book suggestions to make you feel happy and connected this June. So, without further ado, 9 p.m. on a November Saturday. Joni, Tony, and I are out on the town. Tony is from the next town over and he needs to get out. His parents are extremely religious. It doesn't even matter which religion. They're all the same at a certain point, and few of them want a gay boy cruising around with his friends on a Saturday night. One day I am probably going to make a visual web to mirror how much work I did, how much research I did into my own library and the internet to find books to suggest for you. If you want a good old-fashioned story featuring a gay character, you can't go wrong with Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda. This is the book Love, Simon was based on, and I'm so disappointed that I didn't read it earlier in my life. This story encapsulates the experience of growing up gay, the fear that your friends and family can't accept you, the tribulations of navigating high school, the panic at the possibility of being outed, and the lightness of falling in love. Read the book first. It's a little dated, but to me it came off as really nostalgic. Then definitely watch the movie, because this is a rare case where both are on par with each other. The author's follow-up book, Leah on the Offbeat, came out last year. just in case you can't get enough of the characters. If you're looking for a lesbian-centric book, Everything Leads to You by Nina LaCour is 1, actually written by a woman married to another woman, and 2, much less emotionally heavy than her other work. This is a good book to start off with before diving into her other stories. I got the chance to meet her at a book signing and cried, so that should tell you exactly what type of author she is. This is a nice little romance. If you're looking for a book with a bisexual or pansexual lead, look no further than The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Leigh. This thing is a beast. It's 600 pages, but I still read it in a week. It's a piece of historical fiction where the main character is sent on a tour of Europe to get his act together with his sister and his best friend, who he is, of course, in love with. The book has a lot going on, and I would add a trigger warning here because his father is exactly the type of harsh bastard one might expect, but at times it can be jarring and a little violent. The happy ending makes it definitely worth the read. And it is a fun book. There are pirates. This book has so many moving parts to it, but it's never hard to keep it straight or to keep reading. Finding a book with an asexual was a little hard. I've already mentioned Seanan McGuire's Every Heart a Doorway in a previous episode, and I wanted a fiction book as opposed to something scientific. I also wanted a book that actually used the word asexual, and while I believe the sequel to The Gentleman's Guide has an asexual main character, I don't know if she actually confirms it outright in anything but concept. Let's Talk About Love, the book by Claire Kahn, has been on my reading list for so long, and yet it is consistently checked out at my library, checked out at my other library, or not available anywhere. If you want to give me a birthday gift, this is it. Overview. Confirmed ace character. Confirmed ace character of color. Confirmed ace problems like navigating the dating scene and being willing to love again. I know this book is going to focus on self-respect as well as this specific type of love, and that's going to do me so good when I finally get my hands on it. A choice for the aromantics out there was also hard. So often there are side characters who just aren't enough a part of the story to end up dating. After doing research, I found a few suggestions that all ended up with the character falling in love, so I don't think the authors actually knew what they were doing. It would be easy to read into a main character that doesn't have a love story as aromantic, but that's not the same as representation. My suggestion has to be an anthology called All Out, the no longer secret stories of queer teens through the ages. This is another one that I've been trying to get my hands on, but alas. It has stories featuring a good range of identities, including at least one confirmed aromantic character, which is what caught my attention in the first place. Step 1. Short stories. Step 2, full books. I hope the same time next year to see a better list of suggestions. For the non-binary folk out there, Ursula K. Le Guin has got you covered with The Left Hand of Darkness. The book involves aliens who are gender fluid, able to change their gender at will, and how the astronaut emissary main character tries to understand their society. This book was published in 1969, the same year as the Stonewall Riot for you history fans out there. If you're looking for something a little less alien, Rick Riordan's Magnus Chase teen series features a person who is gender fluid, a child of Loki who is also gender fluid. That second bit is original text, baby. Loki has always been gender fluid. If you're looking for a children's book, Rick Riordan is fine, but A Day in the Life of Marlon Bundo is for a much younger audience, and features Mike Pence's rabbit in a gay relationship. All profits from the book are, I believe, still being donated to the Trevor Project and AIDS United, so if you want a cute story with lovely watercolor pictures, this one's for a good cause. If you're in a bookstore looking for something straight off the press, Night Vale presents The Buying of Lot 37, a collection of stories from Season 3 of one of the most diverse podcasts to date. The book also includes behind-the-scenes commentary, which is what I'm most excited for. I started this series when it first came out in 2012. Since then, it has expanded tremendously and added other podcasts to its brand. I already have 2 other books produced by them, and I cannot wait to get this one as soon as it comes to my store. Maybe you're not excited for new books, and that slightly older book smell feels more like home. Boy Meets Boy by David Levithan came out in 2003, and I am begging you to read this book. If you enjoyed Love, Simon and wanted a more accepting feel to it, if you watched Netflix's Alex Strangelove and are kind of tired of teenage coming-out stories, does transgender football star prom queen catch your fancy? I picked up Boy Meets Boy off a free bookshelf at a hostel in Scotland. I read it in one night. The book is like stepping into the world I want to live in. It is pure, funny, the characters are lovable, and the love is so heartfelt. If the world were perfect, it would look like a David Levithan novel. I can't recommend this book enough. If you're looking for something historical or nonfiction, may I suggest Vern Bullow's Before Stonewall. It's a collection of activist biographies. Being able to read personal accounts is a little more fun than hard history, but if you're looking for a hard history, Heinz Hager's The Man with the Pink Triangle focuses on gay Jews during Nazi occupation. If you just want to look at pictures, Fun Home is the autobiographical graphic novel by Alison Bechdel. It is also an award-winning musical, and if you get the chance to see it, by all means take it. You'll bawl your eyes out. If you play video games, you've probably heard of the game Dream Daddy, a dad dating simulator. The accompanying graphic novel came out in May, and boy howdy, I sure did pick up a copy while I was at TCAF. I'm a big fan of the different art styles used throughout the book. And in the last story, the characters play a game of Dungeons & Dragons, which is just cute. I want to share some manga that has really good transgender representation specifically. Some detrimental terms have come both from the representation of transgender women in this form of media and from the people who read it. I want to highlight the good. I read the 10-volume series After School Nightmare when I was in middle school, I want to say. I spent a lot of time in the graphic novels section at my local library. After School Nightmare is a story about a bunch of kids who think they're in detention or some kind of special club and are actually all facing what is ultimately their biggest fears. This story is first on my list not only because the character is intersex and deciding which gender they want to live their life as, but part of the journey of self-discovery is that they're also bisexual. Ultimately, it's about the main character choosing which part of their life they want to pursue and what will make them the happiest. It's also a horror manga, so if you end up reading it, that's something to prepare for. The second on my list is Paradise Kiss, and this is the complete opposite of horror. The story centers around our main character who wants to be a model and finds a group of people involved in the fashion industry, including a transgender woman who acts as the muse and mother figure of the group. The way she's drawn and portrayed is very cute and, to me, realistic. The only time her gender is played for a gag is when she gets angry when people use her birth name, which is infrequent. And really, who wouldn't? The third is Zombieland Saga, which some of you may know for political reasons. This was such a mess. In May, Joanna Catherine Cherry of the Scottish National Party used a picture of the transgender character from the show to highlight how the term trans-exclusionary radical feminist is being used to silence women. The picture had the phrase, "Shut the fuck up, TERF," over it, and had been posted on Twitter by famous gamer, gay, and furry Sonic Fox. That took me 4 takes to get through without laughing. Anyways, you can't be a feminist if you hate women, which includes trans women, and I can't believe that was part of a live broadcast. I haven't seen the series myself, but from the looks of the picture, it's very cute and drawn in an adorable art style. I don't think the character actually uses a gun in the show, but I could be wrong. Thanks for listening this week, and if you end up looking up any of these, let me know. And let me know what you think. Enjoy your reading! Street pride is a joke, the first pride was a riot, and rights are given by the people. Happy New Year!